Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wrestling Conversation. I am Brent West, along with Rodney West and Jack Lord. We're professional wrestling today. A lot of things going on. For those who have not known, Wrestle South is coming up Saturday, May 8th. Saturday, May 8th, Arab, Alabama. Make plans if you live in the Alabama area, Georgia. Make plans to drive in. I think you'll enjoy the. I think you'll enjoy the night. Just want to tell everybody about that right off the bat. Rodney, anything going on in the world of wrestling that we need to talk about?
Well, me and Jack were talking earlier in the broadcast. I just thought that it was wonderful not to see Obnoxious Tom on Raw last week. And I like the new guy. I don't think Jack said he didn't like it, but I like the new guy. The only thing that I thought was a downer the entire show was Corey Graves. And, of course, they probably put him on there to help bring the program down. I did like the show finally. They had a match within the first 5 minutes of the program. Bobby Lashley looking like a real world champion should look like. It's pretty good. And I also enjoyed the beating the Riddler took. It was fantastic.
Well, I'm not a big fan of the Riddler. I'm not a.
Well, those punches that he was they were awful. They probably need to send him back to wherever he learned how to do those. Try again. Corey Graves probably taught him how to do that too.
All right, Jack. Anything we need to discuss wrestling wise at this point?
Well, our most immediate discussion is the fact that I'm still in the process of sending test links to Magnum, and he's trying to get on. So, but we'll get him on. We'll get him on.
This is the problem when you're dealing with live stuff, is trying to get them on, and that some people have difficulties at some points to get people on. So we will. But while we're doing that, we're going to talk wrestling and a couple of things I want to discuss that we're going to be coming up soon. I talked to and I meant to talk to Jack and Rodney about this, but I had some problems prior. Talking about problems, I had problems just for whatever reason. My earphones just quit working. But I talked to Mitch Lucas this afternoon, and I believe he is gung-ho on doing a show on Thursday nights live.
All right.
He wants to do one on Continental Championship Wrestling. He thinks he could give a lot of insight to Continental Championship Wrestling, and I think he could. So I think that's going to start May the 13th. I believe is that a Thursday? I don't have my thing in front of me. I think, but Thursday, May 13th, live at 7:30 p.m. It'll be him, and occasionally Jack and Rodney will be on there. And
May 13th.
Try to bring on Jerry Stubbs and a lot of people, Charlie Platt, and try to get them on here to talk to Mitch about Continental Championship Wrestling. Probably give it a little different. He'll probably give it a little different spin than we would. Don't you think so, Jack?
Oh yeah. It's always a fan perspective is always great to hear from.
Because we can always be a little brutal sometimes. So maybe we've seen things that maybe them people didn't see. For those of you who are coming in, we're going to get Magnum TA on the show. Actually, he is Jack is going back and forth with him right now, trying to get him on, and we will continue trying to get him on. We always know that could be a possibility. Come on live right here. Let's talk to everybody while we're waiting. Let's see what people have got to say. Jeremy Kane Travis said, love Magnum's feud with Mr. Wrestling 2 in Mid-South. That was a great feud, by the way. It was well done, well executed. I think Ernie Ladd had a lot to do with that, with Wrestling 2 and Magnum TA. And with Nikita Koloff with Jim Crocker Promotion. Mask is made by K&H Originals. That's a Wrestling 2 mask, isn't it? He's got on. K&H, are they still around?
Yeah, they don't do a whole lot of business like they used to, but they're still hanging in there.
I didn't even know they were still around. Raven Taylor is with us. Hello, everyone. Hello, Raven. How you doing? Mickey Mayfield is with us as well. Howdy, all. Chaplain Freddie Rooster Roper. I'm going to tell you what, if you say that name 3 or 4 times fast, you could say something that you shouldn't say. Hello, gentlemen. How you doing? A great painter, by the way. I've seen a lot of his paintings the last few weeks. Very good. In 2 seconds late, how much am I fine, Kevin? Jack? What is his fine going to be?
It's a big cigar.
Big
Expensive kind. No King Edward Imperials.
Jamie Combs is with us. Hello, guys. How you doing, Jamie? Dr. Phil Bogrice is with us. Good evening, distinguished professors. Enlighten us this evening. We'll try to enlighten you on some things, and things that we don't know, we'll just make up. Dennis Mitchell. Hey, I have a question for Magnum. Whenever we get Magnum on, I think he's probably having some difficulties. Jack, where are we at on that? Is he having some difficulties getting in?
He told me that he's just got a little wheel spinning, that it's not connecting.
A little wheel spinning. That happens sometimes. Hey, I said he'll have a question for Magnum. Who did he discover that Buzz Sawyer was his cousin? Did he discover that Buzz Sawyer was his cousin?
I never did know that.
I didn't know that either, and we won't hold that against him. Let's see. Daryl Glass here in Jacksonville Beach said hello. Stuart Kemp said, "Gotta love technology." Yes, you do. Yes, I've already had problems myself, so it's never fun. They said, "Can you get Bo James on?" We had Bo James on at one time, but we never have been able to get him back on. He was going to do some continental stuff with us. I think he had some personal problems, but maybe we can. Well, maybe we can now. Doug Masters is with us. Good evening, gentlemen. Great show. Thank you so much. Yvonne Burns is with us. How you doing, Yvonne? Hello, gentlemen. She must be talking about somebody else. I don't know. Gentlemen in this. Michael Barr, hello from Southeast Alabama. Lynn Gross, I think it's Gross, ain't it? Evening, guys. Long time not being on here. Where have you been, Lynn? Or does he even know?
I think Lynn's been in jail time.
Oh,
whoa!
Facebook jail. I'll clarify that. Facebook.
Lynn, what did you do? What did you do to get put in Facebook jail? Victor Nash is with us. How you doing, Victor? Victor sent me some good stuff in the last few days. Him and Richard Hood both sent me some great stuff. Well, hello. There's Paul. There's Paul from
that place in Canada.
Yeah, it's raining tonight. Did you gentlemen see the Stone Cold biography on A&E last night? I did not, Jack. Did you?
I did. There was nothing new there if you're a longtime wrestling fan. But it was still very well done, I thought. And there's also a show. There was also a show afterward where WWE goes out and they're hunting down memorabilia because, of course, there's long been rumors that they're going to open up a museum at some point. And I'm assuming that's what they're trying to do. But they had Mick Foley going out trying to find one of his original Mankind shirts, the original flannel jacket shirt that he wore, and it seems the original Mr. Sacco also.
Well, maybe they get in touch with Mark Jackson. They put him in that the old things.
He's older than most of the memorabilia there. So. Love you, Mike. Kinda.
Yeah,
I do. I'm just kidding.
We're just joking with you, Mike. He ain't watching anyway, so that's all. Ryan is Ryan Povich. Is that how you say his name? Ryan Povich. Hello, how you doing, Ryan? Stuart Kemp. He is. He's got his T-shirt is out. His T-shirt is out now. Let's see if this will come out. I think it's Pro Wrestling Tees, best abs in the business. Just a shameless plug, Sturt Kim. Kind of, if you can't help him out, he had a lot of issues and had to go to the hospital, a lot of hospital bills. So if you can get over there, buy a shirt, that would be great. And Kevin says something, but I have no clue what even that means. Not for sure. What does that mean? Tempo reloads. What does that mean?
I believe that's a cigarette or cigar brand.
Oh, is that what that is? See, I'm
guessing.
not a smoker. Is that what that is, Jack?
That's where you have short-term memory issues and you don't remember what it said.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
All right. I know a couple Magnum stories. Well, the way we're going, you may have to come on and tell the Magnum stories. They're George Ben Masters. Mickey says sweet. What's
Swisher sweets make you go immediately and wash your mouth out with soap. It would taste the same.
Greg and Victoria is with us. Hodge, good evening, guys. From how do you say that? Ellerslie.
Georgia?
Man, we were in Georgia for a long time. I don't know if I ever remember that place. Where's that located, Greg and Victoria? What big city is this near?
Can you see Magnum out there? He said he's in.
Yes, he is here. Okay, let's turn Magnum on. He is with us. How you doing, Magnum TA?
Technology was trying to whoop me.
Oh, you whooped it.
Yeah, man.
Good to have you on, Magnum. We certainly do appreciate you coming on here with us. And Jack, I'm going to let you take this over, and I'm going to drop out and let y'all talk to Magnum.
Hey, we've got a ton of questions already been asked. Let me see. Let me pull something up here. What made you go after the NWA US title instead of straight after the world title? And that was from Victor Nash.
Well, that was the respectful path back in that day. The U.S. title was the number one contender for the World's Heavyweight Championship, and if you just tried to sidestep whoever the U.S. champion was to go straight after the world's title, that would have been a really disrespectful move back in that time, in that era. Now, obviously, there were people all over the world that challenged Rick for the title. But it was usually like the Missouri champion, or when I was at Bill's, when I was the North American champion, I challenged him. Yeah, it was usually some kind of tier you had to be at before you were recognized as a contender for the title.
Awesome, Rodney.
Well, I'm hearing something. I think it's a dog or something attacking us. Anyway, question was, I noticed I think I saw a match in 1981. You worked for Paul Bosch in Houston, and you were against Kevin Kelly. Were you working for Vince? Were you working for Bill Watts at the time, or was that just a one-shot deal for you?
No, that would have been something I was doing probably for Joe Blanchard at that time, because in 81, I broke in 80. 81, I was still working for Joe, and I was about to go to Florida Championship Wrestling. So that would have been a shot for Joe Blanchard in his territory.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. Awesome match with you and Kevin Kelly, or Kelly Kaninsky. Was an awesome match. So when was it? So you went back to work. You said you worked for Joe Blanchard. You go to Florida next. Where was your first start?
Yeah, actually up in Gene Kaninsky country.
Is that right?
Yeah, I started with Don Owens in 1980, and so I worked that territory for about 6 months, and some of my first matches were with Gene. So yeah, I've got a lot of fond memories from the Pacific Northwest.
Beautiful. Now, and how long were you in the Pacific Northwest?
6 months.
6 months.
6 months. Yeah.
Now, I noticed in that match you were using the power slam in that particular match. So was that your finish in the beginning?
No, I was just in the beginning. I was just trying different things just to see what felt good, what was kind of second nature for me, and that's how the belly to belly happened. I mean, it was a total just spontaneous thing that happened. in a match that it was just an absolute mess. And I realized right away that if I could do that to somebody that couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time, then I could probably do it with seasoned professionals.
Sure. So
Yeah.
where was this disaster happening at? What town was this?
It was somewhere in Florida. And Tommy Young was refereeing, and I was with this big raw bone 285-pound guy. Like I said, I don't even know how he got in the ring. And next thing I knew, he was coming at me and he couldn't remember the spot if I had a big billboard holding it. What we're going to do. And I waist locked him and just threw him. And I said, that was easy. That I need to remember that. That was easy. It was nothing to it. I had really good lower back and hip strength that I just developed over the years, amateur wrestling and everything. And at 240 pounds, that strength level had gone up linear. And anybody could get my hands around their waist, I could take them for a ride.
Yeah, it was awesome, and it looked like when I was watching that match with you and Kaninsky, looked like you were a little bit more bulky back then.
I was learning the ropes. I mean, I'd only been in the business about a year and a half. So, I had a career that only in the ring spanned from 1980 to October of '86. So when you consider everything I crammed in that was time, it was pretty nuts.
Yeah, no doubt, Jack.
Well, we have discussed on this program many times about the series of matches, the setup between you and Mr. Wrestling number 2 out in Mid-South. And in fact, we all kind of agree it's probably one of our favorite storylines that ever were because it was so well told, the build was so good, and then, of course, the matches following up were great. And yeah, we've had Mr. Wrestling 2's son on here, Robert, several times, and he's talked about his dad was really proud of what y'all accomplished with that. What are some of your memories of that series?
Yeah, and it was very unique. There's so many firsts I got to be a part of, and Johnny had never been a heel. I mean, he'd been a babyface, his whole career, and he was a big, big star babyface in Atlanta and different places all over the country, So for them to be working an angle to turn him, envious of this young up and coming guy, who he was supposed to be taking me under his wing, and Bill Dundee's the one that masterminded the whole thing. I mean, it was his angle, but it made me. It took him to another level. Everybody that touched it was elevated because of it. And him and I had a great program with the Midnight Express when they had come in when we were tag partners, and we got the heat on them like incredible. Building them up to for them to get their run and do what they did. So it just worked, and it was like I said, we got to tell a story over weeks and weeks and months, not just let's throw this up against the wall and see if it sticks. I mean, we painted that picture for quite some time before we popped it. And when he turned on Dog, JYD, and took the title, he had some heat in New Orleans. That went down.
Yeah, that was, we were there at the time. That was unbelievable stuff. And I think that took you from being a star to superstar status.
Absolutely.
That one angle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that hands down was the piece of the puzzle that I needed to get to that next tier, and then be involved in true main event angles and that drew money and was able to really contribute to the card in a big way.
The people that came after you, Brad Armstrong, Terry Taylor, never. Everybody considered that belt your belt. That's how strong that angle was and how over you were in that time.
Yeah, I remember.
Awesome.
I remember vividly walking out and Bill presenting me that new belt, and it was, for those people there, that was as big as the Super Bowl to have that belt presented and somebody carry it that they'd watched go through this long drawn out battle to get to this plateau, get to this place.
It was really, really good. And in fact, to the point where, I don't know, were you there when they tried to turn 2 back on with the Midnight Express and they pulled out the belts and whipped 2 again? Maybe it was after you left.
Yeah, it had been after I left. Yeah.
Well, the fact of the matter is, it turns to the Midnight Express. That's how much heat 2 had. And again, and we always said, without you, 2 could never go back. Without you and he.
And it was one of those timing things in the cosmos where everything lined up, and I felt bad years later because he came to TBS to talk to Dusty one Saturday morning, and he wanted another shot at a run as a heel, and him and I, but then I'd gone a whole nother step.
Sure.
And it was like and it would have been bigger on a grander scale, but you can't redo something that when the timing was just right, and it was all, you couldn't redo, I couldn't go backwards to try to help him get where he wanted to go.
No, I agree with that.
And I love him. He's a special guy. Spent many hours riding up and down the road with him in his little rabbit diesel.
That's right.
I felt like I had to run out and push it so we could get up the hill sometime.
One of our viewers, Chaplain Freddie Rooster Roper, says, "Hello, Magnum. I always enjoyed you in the ring. You and Tully in the I Quit match was one of my favorites. And on a personal note, that was one of my favorite matches too. Your whole series was fantastic. But how, give us some insight as to how it was working with Tully."
Well, Tully wanted to be the best heel in the business, period. He had no aspirations of ever being a babyface. He wanted the heat. He wanted to be that nasty, hard working, brash, in your face, cocky heel. And when I met him in San Antonio with his dad, he laid out for me what he wanted to achieve in the business. And so when him and I came full circle back together for under Crockett, his eyes were this big because he saw where I'd gone and where I'd got to, and knew that I had the same intensity as a babyface as he has as a heel. So you put those two together, and both guys in shape and can go 30 minutes wide open, then you got something. And he knew it. He saw the money, and we had an 8-month program. It was just, it was on the heels of Wahoo, and Wahoo passing the torch is kind of what he did. And then I blew into this battle with Tully that was just epic. And the funny thing is, the I Quit match and all the things that happened to make it so memorable, we had those kind of matches all over the country that weren't televised. They were equally as brutal. Everything short of the chair and the spike and the I Quit part of it. We beat the tar out of each other in every major city in America before we had that match.
Wow. Absolutely.
We didn't have to talk. We could look at each other, and it's like two lions, just going at each other, and is move and counter move. And we didn't call spots. We just reacted to each other and could do it.
It was awesome, absolutely awesome. And I felt at that time, when we have reviewed that just recently, I feel that Tully Blanchard was at the top of his game right at that point.
He certainly garnered huge recognition in being part of the Four Horsemen, but as a single, that was the epitome of what he accomplished. As a single star, without a doubt.
And honestly, when we were watching, my observation was Tully actually was the show there for a while. I think at that point, even bigger than Flair. He's on air. He's got Baby Doll. He was the world television champion, the United States champion with you. He was, like I said, he was on top of his game, and I don't think there's anybody any better.
Yeah, if had had fate not happened the way it was, the battles him and I could have had with me having the world title and him would have been something that I can't even imagine, because he just, I had to turn the knob down when I finished that program with him. I couldn't go that pace with anybody else because I would run over top of them. I was so used to a heel selling and coming back and being in my face so quick to take another blow or take another bump that you give him a bump and you had to be up as fast as you could because he's coming to get another one. And it was just bam and bam and bam. It was like the intensity was insane. I've never been in better shape in my life than I was after that series. Ever. Nothing.
Super.
Yeah.
Just super stuff. How did it feel? I mean, you go from Mid-South, you saw that big, huge business happen there. And then here you go, what is it? 6 months later, see another big, huge burst with Jim Crockett Promotions. I mean, 2 in a row. Awesome.
Well, I believed in Dusty, and that's the whole reason it all happened. Dusty and I became like brothers back in my Florida Championship wrestling days. And when Andre gave me the Magnum TA name thing, over breakfast one morning, and Andre wanted to take me to New York to Vince. So the story was that he was going to go up and talk to Vince Senior, wanted to bring me in as Magnum TA. Well, so then on the other side, over in Bill's land, he has Paul Orndorff take off, go to New York, and so he got this huge spot open. Ernie calls me in the middle of the night, and then the rest is history. I take off, go over there with Dusty's blessings to hone this character and build this persona, because Dusty was watching me develop and watching all this happen too, because he put me out there with Scott McGee and Brad Armstrong doing 30 and 45-minute Broadways with the Kangaroos every night, so I'd get all that just training pounded in me and learn. And so when it came full circle back around, and Dusty was coming into what was my home from being from Virginia, and now I'm it's 1984. Somebody's telling me they're going to give me the keys to the Golden City, where I grew up. What kid gets a chance to go be Babe Ruth or Muhammad Ali in their hometown where they grew up, and they gave me that opportunity. So I love Bill Watts, and the territory was on fire. We're selling out every night. Sure. And I give him my notice. I said, it's been nice. I've enjoyed the experience, but I'm going over here.
Sure.
And nobody could wrap their head around it at the time, because guys on top in Carolinas are making $500 to $700 a week, and I'm making over $2,000 a week over here, and I'm leaving to go over there. So everybody thought I was wacko at that.
Well, you're proving wrong for sure.
Yeah,
it's amazing though. You were a part of 2 huge successes, one in Mid-South, and then, like I said, 6 months later, big star, doing it one more time with Jim Crockett Promotions. That's awesome. Really unheard of, I think, seeing 2 back to back like that.
Probably in the time frame in which it all happened, nobody would ever. You'd be more likely to get shot by a sniper probably than have something that huge happen, and being in the business, less than 4 years. Sure. Because guys used to work, for 10 years to get a break to be a main eventer. You worked your way slowly up that ladder. I had no family in the business. I wasn't some second generation anything. I was fighting in the trenches with everybody else. But the path that I was, just so fortunate to be able to go down was really amazing. Jim Ross and I talk about it sometimes. He said, how did you do all that in that period of time? And we're, and we have people, like you said, talking about the I Quit match 30 some years later.
Sure.
It's still relevant. So it's, I'm proud of the way that I've got to be remembered. I'm glad to be remembered like that.
Victor Nash is one of our followers. Wanted to know, did you ever have any plans, or did you even ever want to turn heel?
No, because I didn't even think about it like heels and baby faces, but I had developed this character that was like kind of a lone wolfish character. If you think about it, I didn't have like a big. Dusty was like my only ally. I didn't have like I wasn't hanging out with the Rock and Roll Express and the this ones and that ones. It was like me, and then Dusty, and then we had our thing, but Dusty always envisioned me this kind of lone wolf, James Dean type, rebel without a cause kind of character, and he allowed me to develop that. So I was going down the road, laid the bricks in the road that Stone Cold guy, what's his name, Steve? Yeah,
yes.
Steve Austin. Yeah, that became the biggest star of all time. He got to take it, and take that kind of character to the moon. But I'm the first guy to knock out the president of the NWA.
Yes, I remember that.
I said, well, reprimand this, So, but I was comfortable in that. It wasn't a stretch. It was a character. I mean, I grew up, watching Clint Eastwood and John Wayne and guys that I molded myself after, and I like that rough, rugged kind of baby faced guy that the heels could take advantage of it, but I could always fight from the bottom up and get them back in the end and brawl with the best of them. So that was what I was comfortable doing. Doing the cowardly heel thing, if I'd stayed in it too long, I might have had to go down that path, but I didn't see it anywhere in the immediate future for sure.
Let's see. He may fail. Ask, who did you love to wrestle, and who did you hate to wrestle?
I didn't hate to wrestle anybody because once you can work with a a stool in the ring and have a match and everybody was a different kind of challenge. It was oddly enough the guys that were the hardest for me to work with were the guys that were just so light and so so artsy about what they did. I mean, I remember having tag matches with Jimmy Valiant and against superstar Billy Graham and Abdullah. And I love working with Abdullah because he was pretty rugged guy. But Superstar, who looked, like rugged as could be, he was just, graceful, gentle, boo boo. I felt like if I grabbed him like I grabbed Tully, I was going to break him. I was going to hurt him. And I could grab Wahoo like that. But when a guy was that light to the touch, it was hard for me to get comfortable in my own skin.
I understand that. I wrestled Bob Armstrong one night, and Bob was so light, you never knew he was in the ring. And then the next night I wrestled Terry Gordy, and you felt every inch of it. So it was, I know.
Yeah, and my thing and Tully's thing and, several of us was that we wanted to make believers out of those people in that front row and everybody in that arena. I didn't care what they said about the whole card. I wanted them to go out there, no matter who I was with, saying I don't know about this, I don't know about that, but I know those two guys there don't like each other, and they roughed each other up, and that was the real deal. That's the way I tried to present
it. Mickey Mayfield wants to know if you still have the fur coat.
No, I do not. A gentleman down in Louisiana has that fur, and he paid handsomely for that fur coat, and it was. The coat was so ridiculous that Dusty and I, we couldn't wear them. It was like you put it on. It was like somebody plugged in an electric blanket. It had to be like 20 below outside to wear that coat. I mean, it was ridiculous, and it weighed about 30 pounds. I mean, it was big. It was heavy. If you lived in Alaska, maybe it would have been a cool thing. But
I've got to ask the question about the coat, okay? Because we just reviewed a show with you having it on there. Of course, Arn Anderson said that y'all look like koalas sitting out there. So Dusty said in that interview that he spent $33,000 on that coat. How much did y'all spend on that coat?
$7,200 a piece.
Oh, still $7,200 per coach.
Yeah, in 1985, that you could do a lot with $7,200.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
And we stumble into the fur shop in Vegas after probably one too many cervezas, and we see Liberace and all these stars on the wall. He said, "Yeah, I made a coat for him, and we just had enough of Flair walking around in his bedazzled stuff. We said, well, you know what, we'll just, by God, make us one, And, yeah, man, we did. So we got we got some pictures, and it was cool, but most impractical thing I have ever owned in my entire life.
Clay Keys.
As a matter of fact, good story here. Tessa wore it to show and tell in high school. Yeah. So we got some good use after the fact, but yeah, it's found a happy home in a little museum a friend has got down there in Louisiana, and he's a great collector, and it's a good home for it. Frankly, I was terrified that I hadn't seen it so long. I was afraid I was going to take it out of the bag and it was all going to fall
apart.
Yeah, because it wasn't like it'd been in cold storage for 10 years.
Wow.
Clay Keys asked, it's no secret that you were being groomed for a world title run. My question is, were you given a date or time period that you would become the world champion?
It was months away. We'd had the meeting. The NWA board had already agreed on what we were going to do. It had been agreed upon by all the higher ups.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of where it made sense. Flair and I first had a program when we got on TBS. We went around the entire country, him and I, everywhere, hour Broadways everywhere. We went 19 hour Broadways in 1 month.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. In which time Rick, and I'm not saying anything out of school, I think he had his biggest month, first $100,000 month he'd ever had.
Wow.
We were selling out everywhere, and back then the world champ got 10%. 10% of the gate.
Yeah.
You got $100,000 house, he's getting 10 grand pops. And wow. It was a big deal, but we did that to paint the picture of what the NWA was all about, as opposed to the WWE and their more entertainment, line of the business. And so we, Rick and I told the story around the country about, what we were all about. And then I went into the program, of course, with Tully and Nikita, and did the different things. But I suspect it probably would not have been in back then. It wouldn't have been on a pay-per-view or anything like that. It'd been a house show somewhere, right. And because that's the way it was. And it might have been one of those things where we walked in and they just said, "Here it is. This is perfect." Yeah, but it wasn't a secret. It was. I remember Dusty and I and Jim Crockett flew up to New York and had dinner up there, and they laid it all out for me. Told me what their plans were, and what we were going to do, and it was pretty overwhelming because that was kid's dream. That's what I wanted to be from the first time I strapped on the boots.
That's awesome. Michael Barr, one of our supporters, says, which was one of your toughest opponents in wrestling, and did you have a favorite territory?
Well, as far as just having fun, and they were all, we made a good time everywhere I went, because, I had such a great group of guys around me. We were all like a big family. We all traveled together. So Mid-South, as far as the traveling, was the hardest place because of so many hours in the cars and 2-lane roads, and just really not the best circumstances for getting 500 miles a day like we did back then. But Florida is a great place to like to go. For guys used to come down there and work for a month just to get away from a territory and let things cool down or something they were in, or they went back because it was just so easy little place to go. But I'll say, working for the Crockett's, and when we had the Jets and we were flying, everywhere that we went. That was the best. They were first class people. They took care of us. I mean, we're flying around on a Falcon 20 jet back then, $2 million jet, and they're having steak and lobster and catering it like we're movie stars.
Well, you touched on Tesla just a minute ago, and one of our followers, Jeremy Travis, asked, "Do you think that Tesla will ever get to go to AEW or WWE?" And I will preface that with the fact that I think she's probably one of the best female wrestlers in the world today. So I hope we do get to see her. I know you can't give out secrets, but there was the question.
Well, the thing is, she's got the work ethic that is so strong that just like when she was breaking in, and I told her, I said, you've got the it factor, and you need to become undeniable to where you get so good that they can't help but use you. And so she's gone through this time with the pandemic and everything else and everything going on in the world, and not big arenas running and all that kind of stuff. And of course the WWE's got probably the best women's roster there's ever been in the history of the planet.
Great.
So at 25 years old, I don't know when it'll take place, but I just can't imagine her story being completed without having that opportunity.
Well, we look forward to it. Rodney, what you got?
Well, I was going to ask about the y'all did all those stadium shows with the Great American Bash. Tell us about those big shows.
They were long because Dusty had this vision of this country music wrestling fusion thing, and it worked really well when we did it the first time at the Great American Bash, and we had David Allen Coe there, and there was like 17,000 people outside, and it was dynamic. But when we started bringing in, we had big stars, George Jones, and just these people. When wrestling fans come to see wrestling, they pretty much want to see wrestling.
Yes.
And even though they might like country music, when they come, they come to see that. So it's like if you put it on first, it people didn't really appreciate it like they should, the artists like they should, because they were anxious to see the other deal. Then if you put it on last, and they're trying to follow all the excitement of what took place in the event, it was just awkward. It was an awkward fit. I think it was a great idea, but we probably shouldn't have done it in every single venue we went to. So we took that Bash on tour, all over the country. I think it was 16 or 17 towns we went to, and I just think it made for too much for what we were doing, because we were on fire with the angles, so we didn't really need to dress it up that much more to make it exciting.
Now, did they do the performers the next year as well? Did they do it every time they did the Great American Bash?
I don't think they did. I think they did that one summer, and I think they realized there were some logistical things about it that weren't as ideal as what they thought. I'm sure they did some other cross promotions, but I don't think they ever tried to do it to the magnitude again that they did that first time.
Yeah, we've had experiences with trying to mix the music with the wrestling, and it never did. It never, like you're saying, if you put them on first, nobody really cared about it. They want to get to the wrestling. They put them on last, and everybody gets up and walks out before they even get on the stage.
Yeah, it's not fair to anybody that's performing, because everybody's there is very good at what they do, and it's just like you can say wrestling fans, NASCAR fans, and country music fans. Those people, they are crossed up. But the people that go to see a NASCAR event wouldn't want to see, a main event wrestling match, at halftime in the middle of a race.
You're right.
It's not the same thing.
We learned a lesson years ago. We were in Atlanta. Dad was there in must have been 1979. Went to a Braves game, and they were going to have wrestling after the Braves game. So they had 40,000 people in the stadium. And when it come time for the wrestling, everybody got up and left, and we had about, I don't know, 500 people for the wrestling match after the Braves game. It was quite telling. People come to see what they say. Yes, yeah. If they want to see wrestling, they'll come to see you. If they want to see baseball or music, they'll search them out. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one for you. You were supposed to be inducted into the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame last year, and of course, COVID postponed all the ceremonies and everything. Are you going to be able to make that this year?
Well, they're talking about doing it in October.
Yep.
And I don't know what will be going on in October. I mean, I would like, when they presented it to me originally, it was going to be something in the summer. Kids have been out of school, and for me, it's a drive because I use a Segway for my mobility device. Can't fly that, so it's 1,000 miles each way out there for me. And if they do that in October, and I work full time too, so to take off that much time and back and forth, kind of a crapshoot. We'll see.
Well, hopefully you can. And in case you didn't know, Brent and Rodney's dad, Ron West, is being inducted for this year's class.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I know. And Jake was Jake in the one I was into?
I don't remember, but I know he's in one, either last year's or this year's.
Yeah, and so I mean, if they can firm up the date, is really the biggest thing, because I mean, it's something I got to plan for.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw a bone out to you. Is we're planning a group trip. We're going to rent a van. Pat Rose is going. Jerry Stubbs is going to ride with us, and so it's just a whole trip to Texas and back of old stories and lots of stops to pee because we're old.
You may never get there. Yeah, that could be problematic to have that many people with that smaller bladders going across the country together. But no, in all seriousness, I really want to make it happen. I just haven't heard definitively the exact dates and whatnot of it. But I mean, honestly, that's the only brick and mortar Hall of Fame in the country still that I know of, right? I guess
every time anybody complains about the WWE Hall of Fame, I point them to the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. That's the one that really matters to the profession.
No, it does. Absolutely. So. It does. It does. And Vince just in lieu of buying all the libraries in the world and all the things that he's done, if you're not recognized, in that group, it used to be a lot of notoriety to it. I think they've kind of stretched some of the things they've done there too, because I think he looks at it probably, and I imagine he does. It's still a television program for him, and he's looking at who's going to be like this, who's going to be entertaining enough to help be a draw. And there's all kinds of things that factor in why you see the recycled guys that keep. Oh, I got another reason to bring this group through in the Hall of Fame. So I can't really blame the guy. He's a smart businessman, and I really I regret the fact that we didn't get a chance to work professionally together, because is all the things people say about him, he's still got to be one of the most brilliant minds. And the things that he put together and where he's taken this industry is second to none.
We talk about this on here a lot, that people want to put him down, but he stepped in at a time and carried the business to another level. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know that there'd be wrestling still around at that level today.
No, and he went toe to toe with Ted Turner, who had deep pockets, and they pulled out all the stops to try to put him under, and came close, but he rose back up again, bigger and stronger than ever, and then ends up absorbing the last big company standing. So I got a lot of respect for them. I hate the fact that there's not the territory environment for the young talent and for the people to be able to see it on the localized levels that they used to be able to see it 30 years ago, because it's lost something in translation.
Yeah.
The arena atmosphere without the cameras and with the one light over the ring and people being able to like kind of loosen up and not feel like everybody's looking at them while they're getting pulled into this drama that they're watching. That's part of the thing that's, to me, missing as far as the performance wise. The athletes are absolutely amazing, but
Yes.
they've turned it into movie making as opposed to the storytelling art form that I was used to. And don't get me wrong, there's guys in there that can tell a story as good as anybody could back in the day. I mean, Orton is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so they've got the talent, but I see why they do it the way they do it. I don't know if you've ever gone and watched them film, a TV show, but I
have.
in Charlotte, and I sat back like in the 50-yard line kind of position and watched this thing, and I'm going, I'm I'm armchair quarterback and thinking this, that, Then I went back and watched the show on TV about 2 hours later at home, and I'm going, that isn't what I just saw. And the way that they can pull the camera angles in, the zooms, and catch expressions that you don't see. And I mean, so it was like I was watching a movie set from the side. It wasn't like I was watching, a wrestling contest or, whatnot from back in the day. And then when I went and watched it on TV, I said, what I thought was a C ended up being an A+, A+ thing when I saw it on the screen. So, my hat's off to them. I don't know that I could do it the way they do it, to be honest with you. I don't think I can remember all those steps.
Well, we're about to run out of time. Rodney, I'll let you finish up here. And Terry, don't leave quite yet. Even when we sign off, we'll be on here for a couple of minutes, and we just like to say hi to you.
All right. I'd like to thank you for coming on. This has been just awesome. I'm glad that we were able to see you back in the Mid-South days. It was awesome. We were there. We saw what happened. We saw you in with Jim Crockett Promotions. Just fantastic, and never a bad match with Magnum TA. Always top of the line. Never heard anybody say anything bad about you, no matter where. Always good to work with Magnum TA, and as well work with you here tonight.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, guys, we'll be going over to the Supporter Network here just in a few minutes. Somebody just asked. Just hang on. We'll be there shortly, and we'll see all the supporters over there here just in a few minutes. If Brent's not asleep at the wheel in there.
I believe he might be.